Are you gonna come say hello? Talk about our story.
Our what?
Our story.
What story? I'm sure you want to talk about it.
Yes.
Can we?
He's undressing me in front of everybody. It's their private parts.
Almost out of style. Give it a ride. Give me more. Let me be light. I'm a new black. You're cutting in your heart. Why be a kid when you can be black?
Okay. Hello, my beautiful, sexy people. How are we doing? And today I wanted to record a podcast, but I don't have the equipment with me, so it's going to be a video podcast, and then we're going to work on the audio so it sounds good and nice, and you would be excited to hear it. Anyway, what I wanted to record. I know I have been MIA for the past 2 weeks because of two big things that are happening in my life. Once again, I'm in Montreal, which is so snowy, it's insane. But I wanted to share today one of the big things that did happen during this month, and that is somebody forgetting to close the fridge. Okay, we're back. And that is this. I don't know if this is the time to actually start sharing my story, but some of you on Instagram have already followed my life for the past 6-7 months. I have shared two of the big things that happened to me last year. So I just think this is not fair for me to be withholding from you some of these new updates in my reality. And today I want to share and I want to talk to you based on my story as always, but one thing that a lot of women struggle with, and something that I get asked a lot. Most of my girlfriends, some of my girlfriends who are not married, who have never been proposed to, have never been in serious relationship, they laughingly ask me, how did you get proposed to both times in both of your serious relationship and both of your relationship within a very short period of time? My first husband proposed to me in 4 weeks, and my fiance just proposed to me after we've known each other since September, so it's been like half a year, if so. I hope he's not listening, because I know him. He's gonna be like, I want to know everything, I want to hear what you're talking about. Angelo, Angie, baby, fiance, nothing. So let's talk today about relationship and how to become the woman who always gets the man that she wants. I don't know, is that a good name for this video? Or should it be something like how to become a woman who, how to become the unforgettable woman? Maybe something like that. Actually, I do have a video already on my YouTube. I'm going to insert it right here. So go and check it out, where I share 5 hacks of the woman, the unforgettable, heartbreaking woman, right? That's a great video. I know I'm blurry there, so forgive me, but you know what, it's worth it. Anyway, let's jump into the story time, because today is a podcast, and in podcast I usually share some of my personal and private stories and base some of the teachings for you on that, so you have an actual example from the real life. So for me, relationship aspect has never been the easiest, to be completely honest. I didn't see from a young age, I didn't see sense. It didn't make sense to me to build relationship where you don't go to the next level in life, right? If you are just dating, for me it was a waste of time. I don't know why, but I got it from a very early age, where girls and boys were dating, probably because I was rejected a lot. I had very damaging relationship with my father, who's supposed to be the first love of your life. So it was a lot of codependency. It was a lot of trauma around that. So for me, a relationship with boys have never been easy when I was growing up. And at a certain point, I started sexualizing myself in order to get attention from men, which is something that girls who don't go through the Oedipian complex correctly, they struggle with. So at the age of 5 to 6, a kid is supposed to start winning the opposite sex of their parent. For boys, it's the mother. For girls, it's the father. To start seeing their sexuality, to start seeing their identification, to start seeing who they are in life, a woman, a man, how am I? Girls learn how to flirt. That's actually a fun thing. That's one of the reasons why girls develop socially and mentally earlier than boys, is because of this Oedipian complex. Because for a boy to win motherly love, you don't really have to do anything, because motherly love is unconditional at its core. Fatherly love, however, you girls have to learn how to flirt, how to manipulate, how to be sassy, how to be cute, how to be loving, and what to get. So the manipulation starts at that age, and that's why the girl has to develop a little earlier than a boy, just because of this very simple thing, right? So for me, a little later than that, when I started discovering my sexuality specifically, that's another big step for fathers. And a lot of men deal with depression. A lot of men some men actually even commit suicide, because it is so hard to bear to live with the fact that you start getting sexually attracted towards your daughter when your daughter comes into her sexuality and sensuality. So that happened to me, and I was always bullied by my dad growing up. At that time, that I was not pretty, I was ugly, I should not wear makeup, I should not be sensual, I should not be sexual, I should not be, feminine and all that. He just could not deal with the fact that I was growing up, and he tried to lean me back, and back into more of a pre-teenage stages of life. So from that point on, I struggled a lot with a relationship. And I didn't know how to deal with the opposite sex. One of the things that I did develop as a protective mechanism was the sexualization. And it's one of the reasons I'm called a hot psychologist. That's at the core of my identity. I love my femininity. I love my womanhood. I love my sexuality, a very aggressive sexuality. Right? I am not a pulled back person. So I started rebelling, and that became or formed me as a person since that early age with my dad. Anyway, this is not where we're going to. But when I was in my 20s, in my teenage years, in my 20s, I went through a lot of very hard stages and understandings of who I am as a partner. I never dated, believe me or not. I never had a boyfriend. I never had a relationship in school. The first guy that I lost my virginity to, or with, I don't know what's in English for. When I shared it with my mom, she prohibited me to talk to him ever again, so I never saw him after my first sexual encounter. Bulat, if you see that, hello. I don't know where you are right now. But that was very traumatizing for a sexual development for anybody, especially a girl, to never come in contact with somebody that you were very close with. But I remember I was eager to do that. I was like, I want to do that. I want to finally know how it feels to be a woman, to finally know how it feels to be a partner as a sexual object, somebody who, a female. I'm sipping on some grapefruit juice over here because I'm on a 3-day cleanse until Monday, when I will have an amazing shooting. So don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and to the podcast, because it is going to be amazing. Anyway, and I remember when I lived everywhere in the world. I lived in Moscow, London, New York, LA, and I always had men around. I always was surrounded by different male encounters. I always had flings, right? But I never had a boyfriend, and I was never dating. I never dated. I never knew what it was, how it feels. And even the guys that I did like, could not understand why exactly it's not working out for me. I remember this one guy that I liked so much. I had the biggest crush on him. He was a singer in a band, but it was just not working out. Somehow I managed to get him, so we were talking, but nothing further than that. It was never serious. I never managed to understand what could I do to actually make this relationship a relationship, or make it something, for God's sake. And I was struggling a lot. I remember I was crying, and I was young, like 20. It was my 20s crush. But it was a lot. I manifested him in my life, but I never knew or understood how to keep him, let alone get him to the next stage, let alone get him into relationship, whatever. Like, we're not even talking engagement or proposal or anything like that. And then I met my husband, my ex-husband. I was 21, I believe, and he was a friend of friends, and we met, and I treated him like shit, to be completely honest with you. From the very beginning, I remember when we met in a bar, and then I think we kissed for the first time, and then that's it. I just disappeared, never texted, never talked, and the kiss was like I wasn't expecting absolutely anything. I remember looking at him being like, ew, no, I'm not doing this. And I just went MIA. I disappeared at him. Then in about a month, I hit him up again about work. We started working together. And the amount of emotional hooks that I was setting up in that relationship was unbelievable. I really felt like a diva, complete diva. I was so confident with him. I was so wanted and desired. And I was just fee, foo, fee, fa. Like, never, ever did I behave like that with a guy that I liked, right? And I think that was one of the biggest and interesting points for me to understand, because later on, when I started learning pickup techniques, when I started learning manipulations in a conscious way, okay, I just want to legalize this word, and I want to stop using it. I want for people to stop using it as something negative, because it is not. We manipulate all the time. If you come into the room and you smile, this is a manipulation. You want other people to have a specific reaction towards you. If you start crying, that's a manipulation. You want other people to start feeling something towards you. So everything we do in the society, within the society, when there's another person involved, is a manipulation. Okay, most of the time, unless you are that crazy conscious person, which honestly, being for over 6 years in psychology, I've never met. Even psychologists don't do that. We have so many subtle, conscious, unconscious manipulations that are set in us on genetic level, for God's sake, that it's very hard to stop it. It's just one of the functions of talking to somebody. So if you are not the guru, the Buddha, who only talks about everything, then you're manipulating. And promise you, you're not the Buddha. So at that time, I later on, when I started learning all that, studying that, I realized how many hooks, how many emotional roller coasters and special hooks and pickup techniques did I use in that first relationship. Because 4 weeks after we got together-ish, he proposed to me. We got proposed. I got proposed. What is it? He proposed to me. There we go. Because I said so. I know that it might sound funny, but I remember having this conversation. And back then, without even realizing that, I was like, I don't know what this is. What are the terms of this relationship? I want to get engaged. I want you to propose to me. And he did. And that was as simple as that. 4 weeks after we were together, I got a proposal. And then, long story short, we got divorced. But that was something that really helped me understand in the very beginning of any relationship, that talking about your needs and talking about your wants is as effective, even more effective, than any of the games that people play. So now let's go to a more current story of my life, which happened last August to September, where I met another guy, Angelo. Just checking if he's still listening. So I met a guy, and knowing a lot of tools and knowing a lot of tricks, in the very beginning I was consciously using them, and I was honest about it with him, and I was honest about it with everybody, because pickup techniques and pickup tools are a must if you want for the relationship to keep going, if you want for something to be long lasting. Because be honest with yourself, how many people do you meet in a day? And who are the people specifically sexually in the opposite sex, somebody that you expect building a relationship, or you want that, or you desire that, or somebody who hooks you, right? Who hooks you, there's even a word for that. How many of them are plain? Like, you just meet somebody and then you fall in love and then you get married and then you leave and then it never happens, okay? Because these emotional trigger points are the things that raise the imprints, the emotional imprints. The more of them you have, the more value you would have in the relationship. Because when we feel something, when we have a big emotional, I don't know what is the name for that, big emotional hook, it's kind of an investment. Your body already knows that it invested into this other person with its own energy, right? When you feel something, when you have an emotional response, it's an energy. You're spending, you're wasting an energy on something. And then the value of that other person just grows. It grows up. You want to have more back. You're like, hell no, I've spent all this energy, I've spent all these emotions on him, on her, and I am not just backing up that easily. I am going to see this through, wherever it is, whatever it is. And I know what I was doing in the very beginning when I was playing a little bit of a game, right? Because without it, good luck. We had a very interesting beginning of relationship when both of us were in different relationship. So should I share this story or not? Maybe we'll share it together later. Okay, fuck it, I'll share it. So backing up, how did this whole thing started? When I was growing up, one of the first things that got me into music, one of my biggest emotional imprints as a child, was a musical, Notre Dame de Paris, which is a musical, French-Canadian musical, and I saw a Russian version when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I remember the biggest emotional imprint that it left for me, after which I was like, I want to do music. I remember having the book at home with all the words and lyrics, and I was just running around the house singing all the songs from the musical. I'm 6 years old. And to be honest, I never ever really came back for this. This was just this big emotional imprint that I took with me throughout my whole life. You know, this is such a scattered podcast, but that's okay. It was something that really left a big mark in my life as to wanting to do music, wanting to be on stage, wanting to perform. And of course it led to me going to West End and Cambridge and Broadway, and then starting my own band and singing, and all these building blocks, right? It all happened because of that musical when I was a little baby. And I completely forgot about it for many years. To be honest, I never knew that musical still existed. I knew the original cast, which was recorded in 1995 or something, when the musical came out. And then this last year, sometimes, once in a while, I would come back and listen to the songs and be like, oh, it was such a beautiful piece of music, and then forget about it. But last year, in June, I remember driving in the car with my ex-husband, and I was like, I want to listen to them. I want to listen to this, to Bruno Pelletier, because I loved his voice the most. So I listened to it, and it always gave me so many emotions. So I started Googling. I started thinking, there's no way this musical has never ever been staged once again. Like, what's the reason? This is such a great piece of music. And I Googled it, and you won't believe it. The same dates I see for the first time in 20 years in my mind, that musical comes to New York. And it comes in July on the exact same dates as we're going to Ireland. The ticket out and the ticket back was the same dates as the premiere and the ending. I was devastated. I was crying. I was trying everything. I was like, I need to see it. This is such an important piece of music for me. I would love to see this musical. How come? Like, it's not possible. Fuck. There's nothing to be readjusted about it. So I cried for 2 days, and then next morning I woke up and I'm like, it doesn't make sense. Being on Broadway, knowing how production works, I knew that they couldn't bring it all together, the team, the actors, they put a whole show just for 2 weeks. It financially doesn't make sense. So my phones is coming out. So I was like, they have to go on tour. And they did. They did go on tour in Montreal and in Canada, in Quebec, for August. So I booked the tickets right away, and this is how I came to Montreal for the first time in August, which is also on my highlights. If you're not subscribed to me, go ahead and subscribe on my Instagram, because I share a lot of sneak peeks of my life there. So I booked the ticket, I came to Montreal, and I just randomly tagged a person. Like I tagged the cast without even knowing many of them. The only person I knew was Bruno. Shout out to Bruno. I have a lot of love for Bruno Pelletier. His voice is amazing, seriously. And I was like, oh, Quasimodo is also like, sounds good. I like the way he sounds. Pretty good voice, you know. These are the two people that I valued the most out of the cast. And completely without a back thought, I tagged them and I went to a spa. Next day or same day, same evening, I get a text back on Instagram saying hello from the guy who was playing Quasimodo. And we started talking. I was with my ex-partner at that time. And we started talking, but I was like, fuck, I need to see this guy. I don't know what's going on, but I wish I saw him. I was flying away. I was flying back the next day. So I flew back to LA. And because I was in an open relationship, so for me in my previous marriage, it was open polyamorous for my side, because I was always like wanted more. I wanted to explore what this type of relationship, what this form of relationship feels, and that was something that was working well. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be my last thing. I remember going to Las Vegas with my friend and texting with this guy. His name still is Angelo. Maybe you can put 1 + 1 together. I was like, okay, you still want to take me out for the drink? He's like, yes, I would love to. And his voice, there was something in his voice that was just new, made me feel like I have to go and see him. I have to come. I have to see him. So I flew in. The next day I got a ticket and I flew in to Quebec. And that's when we met. And this is where our story started. And when my girls ask me, when I teach master classes, when I teach pickup, when I teach relationship, I never recommend sleeping on the first date. Never recommend it. Don't do it. And she was like, well, but you did it. You had like, a little fling, 3 days get together time with him. What worked is that we had a lot of emotional hooks on the other side. I was in other relationship. He was in other relationship. He didn't know about that. I kind of did know about that. There was a timing, an expiration date on the relationship right away. There was this sense of hiding. There was this sense of what is this going to be, right? There are a lot of emotional hooks, like from movies. There are a lot of very big imprints that are already in play. So being sexual together, being intimate together right away didn't affect it. It was only firing, or making the fire bigger. If that happened with somebody that you meet on Tinder and then you go get together and then you sleep overnight, and then what else is there? There's absolutely nothing. There's no mystery. There are no imprints. There is no charm. There's nothing left that combines you together for this relationship to exist and to be something that can lead to the next stage. For me, it was very different. Like, for example, with my first husband, I was not intimate for a long time, for probably a month, if so. So the build up, the emotional tension was like all the way up. For me in this relationship, the emotional tension was already all the way up, regardless of the sexual encounter. So we met for the first time, then I left, then we met another time, and then we basically made a decision to be together. But this coming back to this, because I only have 10 minutes left in this podcast, just to share with you my little story and some of the tips along the way, right? I hope you're really valuing that. I remember the second time coming back to Trois-Rivières, which is in the middle of nowhere. This is one of our biggest jokes. If anybody in Canada is watching that, and when I mentioned Trois-Rivières, they're like, what? Because it's like, I don't know, in equivalent of LA, it would be, I don't even think we have Sacramento, maybe, which is the capital of California, but I don't know, it would be like some really weird place in LA that nobody really goes to. I forget what it's called, not Sherbrooke, that's also Canada. Like not Santa Clarita. I don't know, like somewhere really far away up the mountains, like that nobody goes to, and that would be the most romantic place for your couple. Imagine that. That's really funny. So I came here for the second time, and then our relationship started building on that. If you want to, I can do a separate video where I can describe some of the tools and tricks that I was using from my side consciously to keep the relationship building. But regardless, this February 14th, this Valentine's Day, I get my second proposal of life, which was on my manifestation, which was one of my goals for this year, one of my dreams, wishes, however you want to call it, without devaluing the other partner or my partner who actually did that. I know that that was a part of my reality that I was visualizing. I keep doing this. Hello. Love you if you're watching that, by the way. How do you do this? How do you do this? All my girlfriends ask me, because there's everything against us as a couple. There was everything against it, but it's so easy and natural for me to know how to get relationship to the next level. And the only thing here is value and talking. Okay. So my partner right now is Italian, and whether you know it or not, Italians are known for their not childishness, but they're not evolved, but they're definitely, they're less matured, if you please. They don't take this next step by themselves, right? As a culture, and I love this gif, I'm gonna insert it right here. That's really funny. Like in America, 18 get kicked out. In Italy, 34 like, no, I want to come back. Like the family system is much stronger, especially the connection with your parents. So for a man to separate from his parents and start building his own life, it takes a little more time, and it definitely not gonna come like this. I know one of my girlfriends, one of my current girlfriends, she told me the story that she was with an Italian man for 11 years, I believe, and he never proposed. Only when she left, then he proposed. And that is what happens, because that is where you show your self-value. From the very beginning of the relationship, I, with my mouth, with my words, amongst other things, but I talked through what is relationship for me. And for me, for a relationship to evolve, it has to have a next logical step of commitment, right? I am a beautiful, hot, sexy lady, smart, I am outgoing, like you are a great, beautiful man. And for us, we can hang out, we can spend time together, but if you want commitment, if we're talking about future, if you want my energy, if you want me to invest my energy, my time, my money, my resources into relationship, I need to know that there is a commitment behind that. And this is exactly what I was talking about. I always, whenever I get into a relationship, I always like to talk through things. It's one of the very most important tools of communication that you can have if you want to build something that will last. Actually, I have to go. I have 10 minutes left and I have to go do my nails. I'm doing my nails, by the way, and next week, because in 2 days I am shooting something so special. Can't wait. So talking through your mouth, use your mouth to talk through it. So I said very clearly, I was like, if you want to be committed, if you want me to be committed, if you want me, because I'm not interested in like flings, I can do that where I want, I need a commitment. I need a proposal. Doesn't mean marriage right away, doesn't mean having kids and settling down, buying a house. It doesn't have to. For me personally, proposal means that we both are serious about this team, and whatever we invest in, we don't have to worry about it, because we know that both sides of this union are prioritizing and investing into this relationship. Basically, that's it. And I remember when I said that, I was like, no, it's your choice. This is not an ultimatum. Because I know there's a nice show on Netflix that's called Ultimatum, which I don't really understand. Like, you don't need to go through this experience to get it. However, it's not an ultimatum. It's communication. Is being, well, I have my values here. This is what I bring to the table. This is what I expect to get back from you. You like it, you do. You don't like it, you don't like it. And one thing I think that people don't understand and confuse a lot in this specifically aspect of relationship is that it has to be all fairy tale, bubbly, nobody talks. Like, if you take any fairy tales that we grew up on, any Disney princesses, any stories of ultimate love, nobody actually communicates. Everybody just expects the other person to get you, or they do things through these expectations, right? Like, there is never a clear communication in the process between the two people in the couple. And that's one thing that is the biggest mistake, because everything has patterns and everything is strategy, right? Life strategy works everywhere. You have to have love strategy, life strategy, money strategy, career strategy, health strategy. It's just understanding of your steps and understanding of where you want to go to, of what you want to get. So if you don't have that in relationship, this is really, really, really bad, because you're just basing your happiness and you're basing your growth and excitement and your commitment, whatever, your future, your time, on this image of Cinderella and Prince on a White Horse, who somehow has to figure out and know what you expect, what you want, who you are. It doesn't work like that. You have to be clear in your communication skills. So anyway, that is my little rant. Now I have to go get my nails done, because next week I am doing the shooting. I am so excited. I'm so excited for the shooting and to actually finally eat, because all I have right now is a grapefruit juice. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to learn more of the sneaky little details of what's going on in my life, on some of the tools that I share. If you want to learn more about the pickup for women, I have a special masterclass available. We have a special discount on it just now. So go ahead, click the link in the bio. And let me know, because there I share more than 50 techniques and tools for communication, for pickup, for manipulations, if you want to call them negatively, because it's a love spell. The guy doesn't even know why he loves you so much, but it's just a strategy, just like everything else in life, right? If you know how to use Facebook ads, you don't call it magic. You just know the strategy. Same thing happens in relationship. You just know how the other person reacts to what, and then you use your behaviors accordingly to get to the point where you want in life. I love you all. Ciao. Bye-bye. I will see you in the next video and podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.